The baby gorilla kissed his dad's head. A minute later, something unexpected happened. The sun was beginning its slow golden descent behind the jagged peaks of the Virunga Mountains, painting the sky in bruised purples and deep burning oranges. In the heart of the sanctuary's most secluded clearing, the air was thick with the scent of crushed ferns and damp earth. At the center of this emerald kingdom sat Malabo. To look at him was to look at the very soul of the forest. He was a silverback of immense proportions, weighing nearly 450 pounds, his back draped in a shimmering mantle of white fur that caught the fading light like polished chrome. He was a majestic leader, 18 years old, with a deep, rugged scar running across his left shoulder, a permanent reminder of a battle with a leopard years ago to protect his family. But in this moment, the warrior was at peace. His massive, leather-like hands rested palm up on his knees, and his amber eyes, which usually scanned the horizon for the slightest hint of danger, were closed. He was drifting into a rare, heavy sleep, his massive head bowed toward his chest. But before we continue, subscribe so you don't miss another touching story like this one, and write in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. The silence of the clearing was absolute, save for the distant hum of insects and the rustle of the wind through the bamboo. It was a silence that spoke of total security, a testament to Malibo's reign. Then, a small shadow detached itself from the safety of the nesting bushes. It was Tatu. Only 3 months old, Tatu was a tiny, chaotic ball of soot-colored fluff. He was the miracle of the troop, born with a distinctive white tuft of hair on the tip of his left ear that flicked like a signal fire whenever he moved, while the rest of the troop, the females and the younger blackbacks, stayed at a respectful distance to let the king sleep. Tatu knew no such boundaries. To him, this mountain of muscle wasn't a formidable silverback. He was simply Dad. Tatu's journey across the clearing was a masterclass in infant clumsiness. His limbs were still too long for his body, and every few steps he would tumble forward, his face landing in the soft clover. But he was determined. He climbed over a fallen log, huffing with effort, his wide, dark eyes fixed on the silver mountain ahead. When he finally reached Malibo's side, the infant paused. He reached out a tiny, trembling finger and touched the coarse, silver hair on Malibo's thigh. The giant didn't stir. Emboldened, Tatu began the long climb. He pulled himself up Malibo's arm, using the thick fur like a ladder. He ascended to the shoulder, and finally, perched precariously on top of the silverback's massive trapezius muscles, Tatu leaned forward. With a tenderness that felt almost impossibly human, the baby gorilla pressed a soft, wet kiss directly onto the center of his father's forehead. The researchers in the observation blind, barely 50 yards away, froze. They had seen Malibo tear down trees in a rage. They had seen him stand his ground against poachers. They expected, at most, a gentle shrug to move the infant aside so he could continue his rest. But as the clock ticked past a minute, something shifted in the atmosphere. It wasn't a movement of aggression, but a total transformation of energy. Malibo's eyes didn't just open, they ignited with a soft, mischievous light that seemed to shave a decade off his age. What happened next was entirely unexpected. A sequence of events that would be whispered about in primatology circles for years to come. Malibo didn't growl. He didn't shift away. Instead, he let out a sound that vibrated the very ground beneath the observation blind, a deep, rhythmic ho-ho-ho that could only be described as gorilla laughter. With a speed that seemed to defy the laws of physics for a creature of his size, Malibo's massive hands shot up. But instead of grabbing Tatu roughly, he cupped the infant as if he were made of the finest glass. He tumbled backward, rolling onto his silver-draped back, holding Tatu high above him toward the sky. The king of the Virungas was no longer a stoic protector. He had turned into a giant, furry playground. The unexpected behavior intensified as Malabo began to play a game of hide-and-seek using nothing but his own enormous hands. He would cover Tatu completely, then open his fingers with a theatrical flourish, hooting softly every time the baby squealed in delight. The rest of the troop began to draw closer, their own faces reflecting a strange sort of wonder. They had never seen the silverback this way. But the highlight of the evening came when Malabo reached into a patch of wild, vibrant yellow orchids growing at the base of a nearby mahogany tree. With the precision of a surgeon, he plucked a single bloom. He didn't eat it. He didn't toss it aside. He leaned Tatu against his chest and, using his thick, calloused fingers, he gently tucked the stem of the yellow flower behind the white tufted ear of his son. It was a moment of profound, quiet beauty. A 450-pound engine of destruction decorated his infant son with a flower. Malabo then began to mimic Tatu's infant vocalizations, a high-pitched panting sound that signaled total, unadulterated joy. For the next 30 minutes, the hierarchy of the troop vanished. There was no leader and no subordinate. There was only a father who had been reminded of his own heart by a single tiny kiss. As the dusk turned into a deep, starlit blue, Malabo finally sat back up. He didn't push Tatu away. He tucked the infant into the crook of his arm, shielding him from the evening chill. He looked toward the matriarch of the troop, Tatu's mother, who had been watching from the shadows. In an act of rare emotional intelligence, Malabo walked over to her and lowered his head, allowing her to touch the spot where Tatu had kissed him. It was as if he was sharing the blessing, acknowledging that the strength of the troop didn't lie in his ability to fight, but in their ability to love and nurture the next generation. The researchers watched through their night vision lenses as Malabo led the way to the nesting trees. He climbed slowly, making sure Tatu was securely fastened to his back. Before he disappeared into the canopy, the silverback paused. He looked back toward the edge of the clearing, his amber eyes reflecting the first few stars of the night. He let out one final, soft hoot, a sound of contentment that seemed to settle over the entire forest like a blanket. The king was back on his throne, but he was wearing a yellow flower in his soul, placed there by the smallest member of his kingdom. The bond between a father and a son is a powerful thing, but in the wild, where every day is a struggle for survival, moments of pure, unscripted affection are the rarest jewels of all. Malabo had spent his life building walls to keep the world out, but Tatu had found the only door that mattered. It wasn't a display of power that had changed the atmosphere of the sanctuary that day. It was a display of vulnerability. It reminds us that no matter how large the beast or how heavy the crown, everyone is susceptible to the transformative power of a simple, honest gesture of love. The yellow orchid eventually fell from Tatu's ear as he slept, but the memory of that afternoon remained etched into the behavior of the troop. From that day on, Malabo was seen playing more often with the juveniles, his leadership style shifting from one of pure dominance to one of inclusive guidance. The unexpected event wasn't just a 30-minute play session, it was the beginning of a new era for the family. A single kiss had cracked the shell of a warrior and revealed the heart of a father, proving that even in the harshest environments on Earth, love is the ultimate survival strategy. Did this story touch your heart? And do you believe that even the strongest leaders have a soft side for their children? Write yes or no in the comments below. like this video, and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories from the wild. Your support helps us share these incredible moments of connection between the human and animal worlds. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.